week 18 of your CFL Journal just 2 weeks ago, and we'll be at the Skydome in Toronto for the 77th Grey Cup game. But today, the road to the Grey Cup goes through Toronto and Calgary, where divisional semifinals are going to be played. We'll be back to preview those, but first, here are the CFL Stars of the Week. Edmonton defensive tackle Brett Williams, BC running back Tony Cherry, and Ottawa middle linebacker Bruce Holmes are the stars of the week. The lineman star is Williams. He was relentless in his pursuit of Saskatchewan quarterbacks in a big 49-17 win for the Eskimos. Williams registered 3 tackles. The pint-sized Tony Cherry rushed 9 times for 152 yards. The longest gain was 68, and he also caught 4 passes for 81 yards and 1 touchdown as the Lions closed out a frustrating and disappointing season with a win over the Calgary Stampeders. The Ottawa Rough Riders won their final 2 games of the season, and Bruce Holmes was a big reason why. He was in the middle of the action in the 24-10 win over Winnipeg, making 11 tackles, and he also had 1 fumble recovery. Holmes, a one-time Argonaut, was cleared out to make room for a returning Willie Pless. Williams, Cherry, and Holmes, the CFL Stars of the Week.
When I smile and I'm off the field, people aren't afraid. But when I smile and I'm on the field, I think it puts some fear in their heart.
Hamilton Eastern Final. Be there.
Buy a ticket. Feed the cats.
Welcome back to Foster's CFL Journal. Well, the long grind of the regular season is over, and 6 teams have earned their way into the playoffs. And actually, earned might not be the best word to describe the way the Toronto Argonauts and Winnipeg Blue Bombers got into the playoffs. Both of these teams have convenience store records of 7-11. They meet tomorrow in the Eastern Division semifinal. This game is getting a cool, icy reception from football fans in Toronto. A crowd of less than 30,000 is expected. The Blue Bombers are past the point of being a struggling football team. They don't even struggle anymore. They've lost 7 straight games. They go into this playoff without an established quarterback. When Sean Salisbury's behavior became unbearable, Coach Mike Riley and GM Cal Murphy gave him the boot. But that left the Bombers with only Lee Saltz and Sammy Garza at quarterback. And the Argos, who defeated Winnipeg 2 out of 3 times this season, hope to pepper Saltz early.
Yes, I think that's our plan, to go in and just get all over him and, get him upset and take him out of his game plan. And we feel like if we do that, then they will have to put somebody else in there or either, just stay in there with him and hopefully, he can get himself back together. But that's probably our biggest concern is to go in and get him early and get him out of his game. Well, with Sean Salisbury, he's a much taller quarterback, and he would stand back there in the pocket, and whereas in Saltz, he's just a little bit more timid, and if he don't find that first receiver, then he's going to pull down and run it. And I think that's the difference in the two. And probably the biggest difference is his experience, and we're going to try to exploit that to the best of our ability, and put a lot of pressure on him and make him make quick decisions, and hopefully ruin this game.
The Bombers are hopeful that all-star linebacker James Wild West and running back Tim Jesse will be back from injuries. Well, actually, in the case of Jesse, he isn't injured, but rather getting behind in his work, let's say, because of hemorrhoids. The Blue and Gold could use him, though. He rushed for 808 yards and scored 11 touchdowns this season. The Argos feel that a key to the game will be their ability to contain the Winnipeg wide receivers Perry Tuttle and James Murphy.
Winnipeg has always been known to come up with big games, and they've always known to have really good passing game. I think that game we can't look underneath or try to overlook them in a sense, because with the pass receivers that they have in Tuttle and especially Murphy, they're known to come up with a big play here and there. It only takes 1 or 2 big plays to make the game. So we're not taking them lightly at all. And I thought they were a little flat against Ottawa. For whatever reason, I don't know, but I know they'll be jacked up for us. And so we realize that it's going to be a tough battle.
Rick Johnson will be at the controls of the CFL's least productive offense. The Argos have the weapons, but for some reason, the offense backfired all year. Wide receiver Jeff Boyd, who broke his ankle in September, could return to provide a spark.
We've gone through a few quarterbacks, and I think when a quarterback comes into a situation where he's learning, guys have to run precision routes and give him an opportunity to see what's going on. Well, we've gone through a lot of young receivers also. So I think just so many changes offensively has really messed up the continuity.
Do you feel like Rick Johnson has come in? Has he got a handle on the offense now? And just from watching him in practice in the last 3 games, do you feel confident with him in the controls?
Yeah, I do. He's a guy that he'll do things to buy himself time, and he likes to make the big play. So I think as receivers, we have to be precise in the things that we're doing and allow him the lane to put the ball in and then try and make big plays from there.
The key to the game could be Argo running back Gil the Thrill Federty. Often this season, he was ignored as the Argonaut offense stalled. He'll have to get the ball 20 to 25 times for the Argos to win. The more times he gets the ball, the more effective Federty is. It says here the Argos should win by a touchdown and set up an Eastern final with Hamilton. Now, rumors abound that if the Argonauts should lose, Bob Obilovich, the Argos' all-time winningest coach, could lose his job. Now to the Western semifinal between Calgary and Saskatchewan.
Throughout the regular season, the Stampeders have concentrated on trying to run a balanced offensive attack. Their passing game was effective at times, particularly in the big play sense. But Calgary ranks second lowest in the league in net yards passing and average yards per game, with the fewest pass attempts made and completed in the CFL. But the running game ranked second best in net yards and average per game, and it is the running game the Stamps plan to utilize a lot Sunday.
We definitely have to get that running game going. They've been able to shut our running game down in the last 4 ball games, basically. So we can come out and get that going. We know we can throw the ball against them. It's just a matter of now trying to get the running game to mix it up a little bit to keep them off balance.
The deep game has been effective, but it is the short passing game inside and underneath the defensive coverage the Stamps feel they must work on if they are to have success against Saskatchewan.
Most of the time they play far off in the secondary, so if we hit them with quick passes and get a running game going and get those guys to stop bringing so many people on their defensive rush, I think we could attack them deeper a little more.
The Rough Riders passing attack was one of the most used and most effective in the CFL this past season. They led the league in net passing yards and average per game. They attempted nearly 100 more than Calgary and recorded nearly 75 more completions. But their rushing game ranked just behind Calgary's in usage and effectiveness. So they, too, boast a balanced attack.
I expect mostly the same. I think they'll mix it up, and we've just got to put that out of our mind and just really come off and just react.
Saskatchewan registered 3 wins in 4 games against Calgary this past regular season, and in the end, only 2 points separated the 2 teams in the final regular season standings. They are very well matched, and Sunday should be a real dogfight in the battle to make it to the Western Final.
It's been a record-breaking year for the Hamilton Ticats. Paul Baldiston, Rocky DiPietro, and Tony Champion, just some of the milestone makers. And they were just some of the players honored the other night at a Ticat Appreciation and Awards Night.
This was just what the Ticats needed, a fun night out at the boss's expense. MC Ken Welch took more shots at the Ticats in one night than the opposition took at them all year. If you're looking for Ken, guys, he'll be here tomorrow and at Yuck Yucks on the weekend. Tony Champion, who didn't escape Welch's wit but did elude defenders throughout the season on his way to rewriting the record book for receivers, took home the heavy hardware at the awards dinner as the Ticats Player of the Year.
But I want to thank everybody. I just want to thank Mr. Brady. I want to thank Joe Zuga, Abrino, and the rest of the coaches and the rest of my players for putting up with me for the rest of the season. And I just want to say...
Wally Zatilny was named this year's recipient of the Charlotte Simmons Humanitarian Award for his work in the community. Zatilny, who is blessed with a good sense of humor, recalled an introduction he and teammate Grover Covington received during the off-season at Hill Park Secondary School.
He's our Shenley Award winner as the outstanding defensive player in the country. He broke the CFL sack record last year, accumulated the most sacks in the season. You know him, we know him. Number 77, Grover Covington. Yeah, the kids just went nuts. Grover walks up. I said, hey, this is going to be great. Huh? Grover walks up and he goes, hey, it's great being here. I really think the city should help us with the cats. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Oh, yeah, Grover. As Grover's walking back, I'm saying, geez, what's he gonna say about me? Rookie year, dropped 3 punts my first game. What could he do? So I'm sitting there and he goes, big intro, and I'm all set. And another Ticat, Wally Zatilny. And all I hear is, and I look over and it's Grover and this lady I helped open the door.
And the new Miss Hamilton Tiger Cat was crowned tonight. The lovely lady is 21-year-old Juliana Mohammed of Stony Creek, who had a message for the Cat players.
I really tried my best. I'm going to do the best job ever this year if you guys make it to Grey Cup. This is fabulous. Thank you.
You know, there are some teams in the Canadian Football League who would be lost, absolutely lost, if their #1 quarterback ever went down with an injury. But such is not the case here in Hamilton, where an ever-ready Todd Dillon stepped into the breach when Mike Kerrigan hurt his shoulder last month. Todd Dillon is happy to be playing, yes, but even happier to be alive after surviving a canoeing accident while hunting near his California home last Christmas.
Yeah, it was 4 o'clock in the morning, and we went duck hunting Christmas Eve, you know, and I don't know, I swear I don't know what the hell we were thinking about, because it was windy. It was like 30-mile-an-hour winds, and we're in a canoe. And we get out there, and we're going along, and this guy's yelling at me. He's going, hey, we have to keep it. We have to keep the canoe straight. There ain't no problem. We had all the decoys in there, and we had the guns, and we're the dog, and shit, we were all, you know, bound down. And the wind just blew the back of our canoe sideways, and the last thing I remember before going in the water is, I'm going in the water. And I come up, and I had gloves on, and I couldn't grab this canoe. And I finally got a hold of the canoe, and the canoe sinks, right? And I thought I was dead. So he's yelling at me. He's going, grab the decoys. We had them in a gunny sack. So we're grabbing at the decoys, and the thing's just spinning in the water. I mean, I'm up to here, and the water's coming in my face. I have a terrible time with water. Anyway, we got a hold of it, and we start paddling to the shore. And we moved maybe 3 feet, and I could touch the bottom. I mean, but hell, I would have drowned in like 6.5 feet of water. But lost my gun, but I went back the next day and went scuba diving for it.
Well, we wouldn't be going overboard if we were to say that Todd Dillon has performed superbly for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. #1 quarterback Mike Kerrigan re-injured his right shoulder on October 15th against Winnipeg. Dillon came in off the bench and helped the Cats to a win that day and has since racked up 3 straight wins as a starter. In that time, he completed almost 60% of his passes for 887 yards and 4 touchdowns. Plus, he has kept defenses on their toes with his scrambling and timely running. Dillon has scrambled a great deal since coming out of Long Beach State in 1983. For 2 years, he was Jim Kelly's backup with the Houston Gamblers of the United States Football League. He remembers how the greed and ego of the league's owners, especially Donald Trump, landed the USFL in court against the NFL and led to the league's demise.
We were watching the TV, Flutie, and this is after we merged. You know, we were waiting to go to the fall, and Doug Flutie was there. We were all living in this house. Flutie, myself, and Scott McGee were watching ESPN. They say, hey, you know, the USFL wins the court case, and we're all, you know, high-fiving. And then he says, the guy in the sports announcer says, but it was awarded $1. And then antitrust that triples, and we're going $3. So, you know, we folded. So then right then I called up Ottawa.
Dillon signed with Ottawa and spent a sometimes stormy 2.5 years with the Rough Riders. He played well considering the turmoil surrounding the last place club. And then he was released after 7 games of the 1988 season.
When I was in Ottawa, I really wanted that team to be good. I mean, I took pay cuts, they cut me, they brought me back, and I was doing it, I was trying to be for them. You know, whatever they wanted me to do, I was going to do it for them. It's like, hey, you know, I'm your guy, you know, you can count on me. And they just, they stuck it to me so many times.
Dillon eventually landed in Steeltown and got good grades during a brief stint in the Eastern Semifinal loss to Winnipeg. This season, he patiently waited his turn, trying to stay sharp in case he was needed. The toughest part for Dillon was staying confident.
You check yourself out at all. I mean, my wife, she's been the pillar, man. You just, like, even when I was put in the game here this year, I mean, I was like, against Winnipeg, I was like, you know, did I play well? Do you think I played well? Yeah, you played real well, she'd say. I don't know. Being the backup, you just try to make everybody happy. You know what I mean? You try to do crazy things and relieve pressure, and just have a good time. But when you do get a chance to play, you try to do good, and you don't try to turn the ball over. And that's probably what I was doing early in the season. I was running the ball and just trying to make everybody chase me. And but it's nice to get to play.
What do you like in the huddle? You said you do some silly things, not in the huddle. Are you all business in the huddle, or you like to?
Oh, I'd probably scream and yell. Yeah. I don't know what it is about it, the game, but I just kind of change a little bit. You know, and those guys, they just laugh at me and they look at me like, "Hey, shut up." So, hey, he'll tell me to shut up.
So there's a lot of stuff going on in that huddle that we don't hear about.
Oh yeah. I try to convince them that I'm the quarterback.
Dylan is convinced not only his teammates, but also the fans that he's a good quarterback. He will more than likely get to start on the Eastern Final November 19th. Dylan is in the option year of his contract, so his football heroics are coming at the right time of the year. Dylan and his agent Gil Scott will be sure to remind Ticats bosses just how valuable a commodity he is. His stock is on the rise. Todd Dillon, this week's player profile on Foster's CFL Journal. The year was 1978, and the Edmonton Eskimos were about to start a 5-year reign as the rulers of the Canadian Football League. In this week's Grey Cup flashback, Paul Hendrick takes us back to 1978 in Toronto.
The 1978 Grey Cup featured a rematch of the 77 final won by the Alouettes. Only this Sunday afternoon was drastically warmer as opposed to the frigid conditions of the year previous. The Eskimos utilized a multi-weaponed offense led by running back Jim Germany, who punished opposing defenders with a slashing style of running. The Alouettes countered with David Green, a veritable cinder block on legs out of Edinburgh College, and another back who made would-be tacklers pay. But it's Edmonton who gets on the scoreboard first, thanks in due part to the pass-catching abilities of George McGowan, who gathers in this Tom Wilkinson toss. It eventually leads to a 37-yard field goal attempt by Dave Cutler, who splits the uprights easily, and it was 3-0. Soon after Edmonton at the 21, another field goal attempt, however, turns into a fake as Tommy Scott takes the pitch and veers right for the first down yardage at the Montreal 7. 2 plays later, the give is to Germany, who crashes ahead for the game's opening major, and it was 10-zip. Montreal, desperate to get back into this title game, relies on Joe Barnes to move the offense, and despite a brace on his left knee, scampers around end for an impressive 8 yards. The drive eventually leads to a Don Sweet attempt from the 33, and it too is good to end the first quarter, 10-3 Eskimos. The Eskimos dominate a defensive tough second quarter. Wilkinson to Scott on a drive that sets up another field goal. It was 14-3 at halftime. Over to the fourth quarter, and Montreal trailing 17-3. Barnes, with all receivers covered, is forced to keep the ball himself, and the gamble pays off as Barnes just is able to cross the goal line. This narrowed the Edmonton lead to 17-10. It was 17-13 late in the game, and the Owls gamble on a third down opportunity. 1977 hero Sonny Wade elects to keep it himself, but can't elude a swarming Edmonton defense and the Western champions on the verge of a Grey Cup. Edmonton goes on to avenge a 41-6 defeat just a year earlier to these very same Alouettes with a 2013 victory at Exhibition Stadium. This week's Grey Cup flashback.
Welcome to Head to Head on Foster's CFL Journal. We're coming to you from Jake's Boathouse in Burlington for the final time this year. Final time this year. We've had a great time every time we've been here, and we hope we're back next year. But anyway, with me to talk football, Canadian Football League, as usual, Mr. Mike Samples and Mr. Ron Lancaster. Yeah, we're here. We've got the Eastern Semifinal coming up in Toronto this weekend, Sunday afternoon. Toronto Argonauts and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And Mike, I know you coach minor football. The Stony Creek Blue Bombers, I think they could have beaten the real Blue Bombers last week. That team has fallen apart.
I think we scored more points last week than they have in the last month. They are on the skids, to say the least. They're having a tough time, and I don't know if they'll turn around this week or not, but Toronto has been doing a whole heck of a lot better, so it's a toss-up.
Well, they've lost 7 straight games, Winnipeg. Some people were suggesting that Winnipeg lost that game. They didn't look very good you know, at all. So some people were suggesting they just more or less laid down for the Argos because they wanted to play at the Sky Dome and get away from that hostile Winnipeg crowd.
You don't believe that, do you? Not really. No, I don't buy that. Any athlete that I ever known, anytime you're going to go out and play, you play to win. You don't win, that's okay, but you play to win.
There's some resentment in Winnipeg, actually a lot of it, I guess, about the releasing of Sean Salisbury. Now, I don't think the players minded at all, but some of the people are saying that Cal Murphy just got rid of him because negotiations on contracts had fallen through.
Well, that's partially true, that he wasn't under contract for next year. But what had happened is, I guess, a couple months ago, things started to go bad, and Sean became kind of a problem in the clubhouse, and the players turned on him, and the only friend he had was the head coach. And finally, the head coach had had enough, and when you get on the head coach's bad side, you're usually gone.
What about the Argonauts? Any signs of life from that offense? So Hamilton just beat them twice. So, I mean, they have to be favored over Winnipeg, though.
You know, they've had a terrible time throwing the football this year. I mean, it's no big secret. Everybody knows that. Running the football, they've had some brilliant things happen early in the year, but that's even faltered, you know, as of late. So offensively, they're in tough shape. The only good thing about that is Winnipeg has trouble stopping people, and they're not scoring either. So who knows? I think it's going to come down to special teams. Whoever can get the best field position, kick a few field goals, and that's probably what's going to happen in the ball game.
Out west might be the only real football game of the weekend because Calgary and Saskatchewan. Calgary's hosting that, but Saskatchewan's beaten them 3 out of 4, twice at McMahon. So I guess home field doesn't mean much to those guys.
No, it doesn't. Calgary, Saskatchewan, doesn't matter where they're going to play. They're very close. They're very close as far as football teams go. The difference in a football game is Saskatchewan will move the ball. Calgary has not shown they can move the football consistently. I really believe Saskatchewan would be favored going in.
Now, Hamilton Ticats do not play until the Eastern Final, November 19th.
Right.
Now, some people are saying they should have had the whole week off. They've been practicing. Edmonton's been practicing too, and they don't play until the 19th. So, I mean, why not keep practicing? Because that's about the only way to keep sharp.
You can't give them a whole week off. Football players get into a routine where they play every week. They practice X number of days a week, and they play on Sundays. It's hard enough not playing this week for them. I think you have to practice, just from the standpoint, keeping the quarterback's arm loose, give the guys a chance to stay loose, work on conditioning, just running. But as far as they're not going to hit anybody, it's not going to hurt them. But you cannot give a team a whole week off.
Okay, Mike, any thoughts on that? Did you ever have a whole week off?
No. But I tell you, if you do, and if you did, your mind's going to wander, and you don't focus on those things that you're looking at every week when you play. So it's easy for that to happen if you're not practicing. So they've got to keep their mind in it, and that's the only way they can do it is to stay in there, take a few days off, maybe take 2, and then come back for a day, take 2 more. But that's about all you can do.
And we all know your mind wanders anyway, whether you're at work or have a week off.
Yeah. Do I get to talk after that?
No. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to be back next week to discuss the CFL, see what happens this weekend. Hamilton Ticats and Edmonton Eskimos are waiting for the winners of this weekend's games. And we're going to be back. We want to thank Jake's Boathouse. We're going to be back next week, Chaps Restaurant #1 on Fairview Street in Burlington. So we'll see you next week on Foster's CFL Journal.